welcome to Show Up, Stand Out Online Visibility Expert Series for Entrepreneurs. My name is Juliet Stapleton. Oh, I'm here. I'm putting the cover in and out. I just want to tease the audience a little bit. My name is Juliet Stapleton. I'm a mad woman from Ireland, and I am a visibility strategist. This is the interview series for entrepreneurs who are growth hackers, who want to build their business, grow their business, improve, get better lives, build a better world. And today I have an amazing guest for you guys, all the way from Ohio, is it?
Virginia.
Oh, Virginia.
Yes.
And I give you Sylvania Harrod. Hi, Sylvania.
What's up, people? How's it going?
Sylvania is a very interesting, I should say, case. And
it's always very fun.
And you will see why. I met Sylvania through a group here on Facebook called Deal Vago. And Deal Vago is a great community where we get awesome deals with the help of Sylvania himself, and I absolutely love the community, but not actually because of the deals, even though most of them are tempting and I think I have them all, but it's a different thing. I love the way this tribe has been built, and it grew so fast, hasn't it? It's only a new thing. It's only a couple of months old or something.
A little over a month. Yeah.
But however, it's in my newsfeed and in my life in a way, it's became one of those communities that I really like. And Sylvania, it's because of you, because you bring so much to the table there that it's a real great example how you build a community using your personal brand, which is yourself.
Absolutely.
Being authentic, being yourself, saying the right things to motivate people, and in no way you ever feel like you are sold on another deal or anything like that. And that's what I really enjoyed, because it's like authentic selling. But before we go into, I have a couple of questions for you. And before we go into discussing the Ohio State football and all that, because I know that you are an expert in Ohio State football issues.
That's correct.
I'm not, but you will find out later. Could you just introduce yourself maybe and just tell people where did you come from and just entered our lives so gracefully?
Sure. So I'll rewind a little bit to give people perspective as far as where I came from. I was born in New York and raised in New Jersey with a family of, my dad was in the Marine Corps. And when you grow up as a child of a military man, you get certain things ingrained in you. And one of the things my dad was very big on was work ethic and ensuring that I made sure that I represented myself as best as I possibly could. You take that, and I would say my mother should have been a Marine from how much she drilled things into me. So one of the things that I'm so grateful for from my mom is making sure I could articulate words very specifically. And so when you're a kid, and I grew up in New Jersey, most of my cousins were from New York. So I would go there and they would make fun of how I spoke. And they would make fun of me all the time because it was just like, yo, you speak so weird and you speak so differently. Why do you have to speak that way? And now I look back and it's quite a few decades later and I'm like, thank you, Mom. Because if it wasn't for those moments being there, I wouldn't be able to effectively communicate with people the way that I truly appreciate. And so fast forward there, I spent 5 years in the U.S. Army. I was a mental health counselor for special operations. Being in that community showed me a couple key things that have been cornerstones in my life, which is they believe in community more than anything else. So community is the strongest vessel that happens to be there. And when I really think about the reason why I started the group in the first place was really what if there was a community where instead of it was you trying to negotiate with these larger companies, you had you and 1,000 of your friends? What would end up happening then? What could be made possible then by going ahead and bringing people together to make an impact? Because when I worked with those special operators, they were typically in 12-man teams. So these 12-man teams could take down armies that were the size of hundreds of thousands. It was the craziest thing. And you go ahead and you realize that, okay, very skilled individuals with a similar mission can make impact. And so there I learned that. I also learned the power of leadership and authentic leadership. Because they spent time talking about family. So everybody that was in that unit was family to them. And you would go there and it wasn't about a title or status or anything that happened to be there. And it taught me that when you're working with those individuals, that you're working with a professional when they don't have to tell you what they do. Yeah, because just their presence and the way they carry themselves and the way they conduct themselves tells you everything else. And so if you have to run around pounding your chest telling everybody you're the greatest, you're probably not. But when you get introduced to somebody that other people have introduced you there, that's what's even more powerful and more impactful, because they're just so humble in their approach and what they be able to do things. So you fast forward there, the last 10 years I've spent in enterprise software sales, where I've worked with companies globally and have helped them. Really, the thing that I care about more than anything else is not the technology, it's not the tools, it's the fact that the guys I work with, I want them to be able to go home and not have to worry about have to take the job with them, because their tools and technology just work. And that's what I care about more than anything else, because I'm a family man. I have 3 beautiful daughters upstairs. I love spending time with them. What I don't want to be doing is sitting there at 1 o'clock in the morning taking phone calls because things are broken. What I want to be able to do is I want to be able to, like we did last night, go to the carnival, turn my phone off, and just be at the carnival, stuffing my face with funnel cake, and hot dogs and all the other kind of stuff that I normally don't eat, but I don't care because it tastes phenomenal at that current moment. Those are the things I like to do, is build community and, more importantly, just love on people. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Well, there's a couple of key phrases that I spotted. First of all, the family theme, and I know you from just following or being friends on Facebook. Family means a lot to you, and now I see at every level, isn't it?
Everywhere. It's family. I love family, connection, and community. That's kind of me in a nutshell. You're going to know that. And I love to laugh.
Yes, and you know what? It's not everyone, and it's okay. We're not making any judgments here. Not everyone is actually a family-oriented person. There's people who are career-oriented. That's fine as well, But I really admire. I was looking for a picture to put on the graphic for this video, and you sent me one with the 2 girls, and I thought, oh, that's adorable, but it was a little bit small. And I went in looking for the one that you had on your own, and you didn't have any. And I thought, wow, this man really loves his children. How adorable! It's amazing. It's amazing. Oh, yeah. And I think it's amazing to, it's amazing to show it to the world. I didn't grow up in a family, in a tight family like this, and for me, it's to watch it and observe it. I feel very grateful to even, well, obviously I had other places where I saw amazing families growing up, but so that's fantastic. Tell me, if you had to give somebody an advice. So you've built a community, you've built Dilvago right now, even though you're still in a 9-to-5 job, you're not a full-time entrepreneur. I would have never guessed, because you have all elements that it takes. I only know because we privately discussed this. But so I'm seeing this awesome entrepreneur entering our space, our community, building this amazing group. We're very tight, really serving people, really serving the big purpose there. It's not, as I said before, you're not even ever feeling like you're pushed on another deal like in so many other places. So if somebody asked you for like a small advice, let's say 3 things that you would say if you're building your community, what are the 3 cornerstones you have to consider, and why?
Okay, so the first thing I would tell a person is, more importantly, you cannot connect with people if you can't connect with yourself. So I would say, get to understand yourself and begin to spend time with finding out the things you enjoy doing. I call this kind of like the passion journey. So anybody that they find themselves stuck or something's not working properly, take the next 30 days. And every time you feel like your heart begins to open and expand, whether it's you're sitting down with your family, you're at a ball game, you're working with a client, whatever it is, jot those down. And you do that over 30 days. At the end of the 30 days, I guarantee you'll see a pattern. You'll see a pattern of, these are the things that really open up my heart. And where I think people get distracted is they always think of, first word people typically ask, how are you going to monetize it? How are you going to monetize it? It's like, if we just stepped away from that element and just said, okay, what if I could find a way just to be in that presence of my heart expanding consistently? And if you're able to do that, that would be the first thing I would say, is when you're connected to yourself, then you can realize through that journey of, who are the people I want to spend time around? For me personally, I love creatives. I love spending time with entrepreneurs, because we don't think conventionally.
No.
That's the reason why there's a solution where I can sit down and I'm here on the East Coast and you're in Ireland, correct?
Yeah.
And we're able to sit down and connect one-on-one because somebody thought this could be possible. Like that blows my mind. This shirt, the chair I'm sitting in, somebody had to think of that at some period of time. So I know that I love working in that environment. I love being around that. And then on the other element, I love technology. So I'm a technologist. Like I love cool gadgets, cool things. I was sitting there in the other, like I found a drone that I can control with my hand and it follow me around. And my wife's like, "You don't need that." I was like, "Yes, I do. I need it." Like, why? Just so I can walk around the house and see if it actually follows me, you know? Like, so I would say that's the first thing, is be connected to yourself and be focused on that. The second thing I would say a person needs to have is a vision. So if you don't have a vision, you don't know where you're going. You just end up somewhere. So when I sat down, let's use Tiovago as an element. When I sat down, I said, all right, if anything was possible in the next 3 years, what would I like to create? You know? And I said, all right, cool. Like, how cool would it be that if I could take some of the strategies that my customers use on me every single day and be able to give that power to other people? Just have them feel empowered that at any moment they can say, I really like this tool. Boom, snap, option there. Or as different iterations and different things come up, be able to say, you know what, I think I want 10 more customers, and boom, you have those customers there because you've already built a drastic, thriving community. That feeling of empowerment is actually the vision. Yes. It's not the destination of where I'm going. It's that feeling, because I can buy a new car and feel great about the car, but guess what? In a couple months, it's going to feel normal.
Yes.
But that feeling of adventure and excitement, I can access that now every single day. And so that's what I thought of, was the vision of where do I want to go and see, like, anything was possible. What would it create? And to me, I sit there and I think of millions of different entrepreneurs connected together to where we're building this community of leaders that are worldwide, making impact, making a difference. And by the way, getting really good compensation for it as well. And that's what I think of it. So second thing, make sure you have a vision. And the third thing I would say more than anything else is make sure that community also aligns with so you have a vision for the community, have a vision for yourself. Because what I've seen is, just like you were saying before, everybody has different things. For me, family is the most important piece. Like, if somebody came to me and said, guess what, we want you to run this company, it's $1 billion company, being able to do stuff, but we need you to be on a plane once a week, I'm telling them no. It's not a matter of, there's not enough compensation to say, I want you traveling around the country all this time in this moment in my life, because I have a crystal clear vision of what I want to do with my family.
This is actually brilliant. I'm just going to interrupt you, because what you just said, I spend a lot of time, doing stuff, but everything I do is for my family. Everything I do is to give them freedom, and I do spend time with them, quality time with them. However, I sometimes say, well, you know what, I always focusing on the work is my way of serving them as well. So, there's time after 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, and I don't attend live events, even though maybe I'm shooting myself and my visibility in the foot by not going out of my way, because I'm not there with my family, and it's a hassle. It becomes just a hassle, and I can do the same thing, maybe a little extra work online, but so I totally understand this.
Yeah, it's something that we have choices, like we have the ability to choose with the technologies and tools we have today. You don't have to go to every single live event. You can pick two, and say, okay, I'm going to commit to these because it's strategic in me being there and me having those conversations. So like in July, it's a very strategic one of the events I'm going to. And also what I look at is, me and my wife, we try to plan out the year in advance. So we can sit down and say, all right, for every weekend that I'm going to go away, I need to make sure there's a family element that happens to be there too. So we go ahead and we say, okay, these are the dates that there are no-goes. And then when I do travel, I try not to be away any more than 4 nights in a row. Because one, I know I'm not in that good zone where I can go ahead and show up properly with the people I'm with, because I'm thinking about being at home. So I know that 4 days is my max return. I don't care if I leave in the middle of the event, because I'm going there for one nugget. It may be one relationship, one person I connect with. That's all I'm looking for. And I schedule those in, but I will not. So a couple years ago, I had traveled where I was on a plane once a week for 18 months. And it seems so cool when you're thinking about the jet setting life and eating in all these fancy restaurants and being able to do stuff. But I realized that doesn't serve me. Like my best friend, he does it all the time. That's his life. I'm like, cool, good for you, man. Me, it doesn't serve me because I just don't like that going back and forth. But I know that serves how I can show up as best as possible. So those three things would be: number one, get to know yourself. Number two, set a vision of where you want that community to go. And number three, ensure that that community also aligns with the personal vision you have. Because if any of those pillars get knocked off, what ends up happening is you have to start trudging yourself through there, and you're not able to show up. And I'm very big on neuroscience and mirror neurons. So if I'm showing up right now, and anybody who's watching this video, and I'm actually internally feeling depressed or anxious or frustrated, guess what ends up happening? Unconsciously in your brain, that's the imprint I leave on you.
Yeah.
And if I have the power to go ahead and impact you in a positive way, there's no doubt I'm going to do that and make sure that what I'm doing serves that way.
100%. And it's funny how this is called different things. It's your energy, or you say, it's your neurological things, but it's true. Whatever you feel, whatever energy you bring to the table, that's what's going to happen. If it's an energy of lack, or you're doubting, or you're depressed, or anything, people will feel it, And that's where you need to take yourself out of the equation and focus on serving the people. But everything you said about the group, guys, this is not only building Facebook group or any kind of group. This is about building your business. It's the same three pillars that you need to really consider. Because what I loved from what you said was about creating that that the vision is not a destination. That was the biggest thing. A lot of people get really confused, and I was that person before. I get confused with words, So somebody says, we have to create a vision. And for me, it means nothing. I don't know what it means. I need to have a clarity what it actually means. So if somebody said, well, it's a feeling. And I've come to this myself recently when I started doing coaching, and I found, the feeling is there. This is my thing. I feel so fulfilled doing it. And that's the energy that I see people getting affected by, which is brilliant. It's great. It's like a domino effect. But if you're bringing the bad energy, first of all, you'll never get clients, so you'll never build your tribe. People don't want to be around people who have the bad energy. Yeah.
No, completely.
Yeah, and I think that's the secret of Divago and growth, and how people are. And I know, because behind the scenes we also say, do you know this group is so awesome? Awesome. Because there is a vibe. There's a certain vibe. And I love the fact that you don't compromise with people who don't serve that culture in the group. So, how do you deal with negativity, and how do you deal with that in general? Well, I know, I've seen how you deal with this, but even on the internal level.
So on an internal level, what I look at is, I heard Tom Brady, I like using sports analogies for those that you don't know about American football. Tom Brady is considered one of the greatest quarterbacks in American football history. And so he had an interview the other day where they were asking, do you feel appreciated by your head coach and the owner of your team? And he goes, in my younger years, I always looked external of myself to get validation. And as I've gotten older in my career, I started moving more internally. And so what I began to realize is that when people are frustrated, or people are upset, or people begin to attack or do anything else, what they're truly doing is just sharing with you a reflection of what's going on inside them. Because if a person's frustrated at me, what I've learned just from working with people one-on-one for the last 15 years or so is that when you really get to the root of it, you realize you triggered something into them that had nothing to do with you. And then you just realize that it's like spiraled, and they looked at it as, you're the person who caused this to happen to me. And I'm actually thankful in a place like, okay, I'm great that you can take this out on a person like me, because I have the capacity to recognize that you're just living in your own story right now. So like the example of Richard and going ahead and being frustrated and making things happen, just because I can see patterns when it comes to personality styles and being able to do things, I can say with 90% accuracy, because there's always a variable, that just happens to be a pattern that he lives in. And I went and validated that, communicating with other people, and they were just like, yeah, absolutely. This is not the first time this has occurred. And where I look at that space, as I say, is that person is definitely in a prison that they don't recognize you can live a different way. And when you're living with the ego and you're driven by the ego, you will die by the ego. And I can only share that because I used to be that person. I used to be that Richard. And so because I was that person, now I know what it's like being on the other side. So if people are negative or angry or frustrated, you have a choice. And I look at it as I can be a purifier or I can be a can. And as a purifier, it's just going to go straight through me because if I get upset, it's just showing that another area I can train myself. Because I use life as a training ground. So if I get upset or I get frustrated, I take the time, I gather my breath, and I realize I still have more work to do. I'm still human. I'm still in a human experience, and I'm going to keep doing that. And that's how I
That's why I think that you're some sort of secret young brother from another mother, because we are just so similar in the way we think. And I'm just like you. I'm constantly trying to grow, and sometimes even like this morning, I had somebody triggered a big argument with me. And you know what? Now that you're saying it, yes, of course, it was all me projecting my things onto this person, and you know, it was pretty nasty, and it's not typical. So it's great to always observe yourself and actually grow. And I think when you're growing your business, guys, and especially when you're growing your visibility online, you're dealing with a lot of things, and a lot of things that inside you are triggered by your outside as well. It's important to not, like you just said, you know, be a purifier. Just get it. Don't react to it if it's not you, and if it's you, try and see where is it rooted, what needs to be addressed, right? And do something. Right, well, how can people who don't know what Dilvago is, can you just in a couple of words, just to say what it is and where to find it, and before we wrap up?
No problem. So Dilvago is a membership group that's based upon having community come together to be able to drive down costs of the tools, softwares, and events that we typically already spend money on. So I like to think of it, I don't know what you guys have overseas, but kind of like the Costco of enterprise software and courses. So it's just like a volume discount store. You can be able to go there, have access. But the other thing that I want to make sure that it's different than just traditional discount membership club is you have the power to vote and say, hey, I want to raise my hand, and I think this is something that happens to be there. And as a community, we come together and say, hey, is this something we want to learn about? And as that occurs, we can prioritize those type of elements that wanted to be there. Because what I wanted to build was horizontal leadership, not somebody sitting on top and everybody falls below. Because I think that together in a horizontal way, we're able to make way more impact than anything else. So you can find Dilvago. It's spelled DEALVAGO. It's a group on Facebook. You can go to, I think it's facebook.com/groups/Dilvago. It'll be there, and you guys can be there. Or you can message me personally if you want to get access, and I can totally take care of you that way.
Yes, guys, those of you who are watching this on Facebook, there is a tag for Sylvania in the description, and we're going to put the link to the group as well. And if you're watching it on YouTube or anywhere else, we'll put the link as well. Definitely worth joining, guys, and not only about the savings, it's the community and it's the vibe, and it's Sylvania as well. You know, it's great to have him in your life, seriously. Right,
I think I'm going to everybody's been asking me to do more lives as I've been in stealth mode for the last month or so. I plan on doing more lives at least once a week, being able to do stuff, because I think that it's a good space to get yourself recentered, ask questions, and interact kind of like we're doing right now.
Well, if I can just add to this, I think we need to have more Sylvanias in the online space, because I find that your lives are always encouraging, empowering, and inspiring, and I go out of my way to just be part of them sometimes, or listen to on the replay, because you know there is a lot. Like Sylvania is one of those people, guys, who are in the online space lifting you up. You need to follow him. Sylvania, thank you so much for joining me. Guys, thank you so much for watching this. I hope that I definitely have a lot of takeaways from this interview, and I hope you do as well. And I will be back next week with a series of other awesome guests, and I hope that you will join me then. Thanks a million for watching, and have a great day.
Thanks, Juliet. Privileged to meet you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.